So we finally know what devil fruit Momonosuke has. He has the Paizuri no Mi devil fruit. That is the only explanation as to how he's gotten away with this many times. Hello and welcome back, guys, to One Piece chapter 1007. And oh boy, we have a lot to talk about, or should I say theorize, because that's all anybody can do right now. All we can do is theorize about the Oden shit at the very end. But before we get there, we'll talk about the very beginning of the chapter and we will work our way down. So this chapter, we start off with Hyogoro seemingly mopping the floor with the Oniwabanshu and the Mimowaragumi captains. And this happened last chapter. They just didn't mention it until the very first panel of this chapter, which gets me thinking, like, wait, did Oda just forget about these guys? And he's just like, oh yeah, I forgot these guys existed. Fuck, everybody's fighting somebody. You know what? They're done. They're already dead. Off screen, forget about them. Which it's really funny because when they were first introduced, not only in the anime but in the manga, they looked like heavy hitters, right? They looked like they would be doing something significant. And then here they are laying on the floor off screen from last chapter. And we didn't even get to mention them last chapter, like I said. Like, because Hyogoro didn't do anything. Like, he's literally still on his knees waiting to be beheaded. So this happened a while ago. Speaking of which, Hyogoro's death, we all knew that this wasn't going to happen. We all knew that he was going to be saved by Chopper. It was people didn't even have to theorize. It was just a given. People do not die in One Piece. And if the very final panel of the chapter doesn't tell you that, then I don't know what will. So before Hyogoro is saved by Chopper, we have a lot of buildup. We have a lot of buildup that I'm not too fond of. And that's solely because we all know that he was going to be saved. But Oda decides to drag out a couple pages, which is fine. And then I think the most interesting part of this chapter, besides the very end, is the back and forth between Queen, the pleasurers, and the waiters, which, if you're a pleasurer, not only do you have a stupid fucking title, but your only ability is to laugh. You are a failed smile user. Why would you even be with the crew at that point? Like, if somebody were to give me some powers and I'd be like, yo, cool, I'm a gifter, awesome. But if I was promised powers and I became a pleasurer, dude, I'm dipping, man. Fuck you guys. Like, you think I want to laugh all the rest of my life? Hell no. I could never go to a funeral ever again. And then we have the waiters. These guys who are just waiting for a smile devil fruit. Guys, I know Wano is cut off from the rest of the world, but y'all, Dofi is dead. This man cannot produce any more smile fruits. Surely you've heard somebody talking about this shit. Surely you must have been like, wow, we haven't seen any smiles in the past year. Like, fuck, what's going on here? These guys are ridiculous. And they're becoming Isoni, and Queen is not giving them the vaccine, which is also really fucked. But Queen, my man, he is digging the hole deep, saying, you guys are worthless. You guys are weak. This is the best you're gonna get. This is the strongest you'll ever get. It's just becoming essentially a suicide bomber for the Beast Pirates. And I feel like the only reason he's saying this is because in his mind, he's like, yeah, Chopper's not going to come up with a vaccine. Nothing's going to happen. In his mindset, he knows that these guys are going to die within the next 5 minutes. But then comes Chopper. Chopper with the giant middle finger to Queen. And he says, yo, I figured out the cure. And I love the way he distributes it. He distributes it in this giant cannonball that puffs into a giant smoke cloud. It's very reminiscent of Dr. Hiruluk from Chopper's past, which I really enjoyed. I love the fact that he decided, I want to say he paid homage to it, although he does say that the reason he did this is because it spreads a lot easier. You can just breathe it in and you're good. But let's be real here. We all know what this is a callback to. So Chopper distributes the vaccine and then everybody is cured. And one important note that I like to look at right here is the fact that Chopper says, oh, there's tens of thousands of people on this floor. There's so many people infected with the Ice Oni virus, which these guys are all now very grateful to Chopper for saving their lives. He's essentially the Usopp of Wano right now. And let me tell you, imagine the Straw Hat Fleet. Right now, the Straw Hat Fleet's sitting at a good 5,000. It's chilling at about 5,000 right now. If we add, let's take the high number. If we add 10,000 people, we have 300%. We are like Bitcoin, my man. We are raising to the fucking moon right now. That's crazy. And I'm assuming that all the Beast Pirates that have suffered due to the hands of Queen, whether it be Jack or anybody else, anybody that has suffered within the Beast Pirates, once Kaido and the executives fall, they're joining the Straw Hat fleet, like guaranteed. The Straw Hat fleet, in my opinion, I think by the end of Wano, they're gonna be 20k strong. So numbers aside, after Chopper distributes the vaccine, we have Marco the Phoenix coming in, putting Queen in this almost like high school bully chokehold, you know, putting Queen right there between his armpits. And he says, hey, Chopper, you distribute that vaccine? It's your turn. You can hit him. I'm holding him down for you. And here comes Chopper with his pre-time skip form, that giant form that you remember at Eni's lobby. He brings that out and slaps the shit out of Queen. And it was hard enough to make not only Queen lose some blood, but enough to send us to a different scenery of Wano. Like, dude, that shit was a transition page. And I gotta say, there's a couple things. I know that Chopper got stronger. After the time skip, everybody got stronger across the fucking board. But seeing a pre-time skip Chopper form actually do damage to Queen is pretty insane. I was expecting some other form. I was expecting like a brand new form we haven't seen before. But the fact that he went to this form to do damage, that must mean that this must be his current top tier attack form. And that's pretty insane. I love the fact that he's like sentient. It's not like a pre-time skip where he couldn't control himself. I love that he can actually be sentient and know what he's doing. We saw this back in Fishman Island, but seeing it now and seeing how strong it is, being reminded of the dangers of this form is pretty crazy. Because at Eni's lobby, this guy was literally walking through walls. Chopper didn't have to do anything. He walked and cement crumbled. So rest in peace Jurassic era, because nothing can beat Chopper's fucking slap. Also, quick shout out to Oda, because I really like the direction One Piece is going in terms of comedy. I really thought the slap against Queen and then everybody saying we're sorry because they all thought he was a tanuki, I thought that was pretty good comedy. And I don't know, the last few chapters have had their moments where it's like, wow, this is pretty entertaining. Like, we go from serious, we go to fight scenes, and then it's like, ha ha ha, this is awesome, ha ha ha. All right, so ha ha ha's aside, this now brings us to the theory portions of the chapter. First off, we have Momonosuke and what the fuck his devil fruit actually is. Because at first we all thought it was a mock version of Kaido. We all thought that, oh, they're just trying to imitate Kaido's devil fruit. Maybe he's just supposed to be a dragon. Now that they showed Momonosuke with Yamato and, you know, he transformed and Yamato's like, whoa, what's coming between my breasts? And Shinobu's like, what the fuck is going on here? We have CP0 talking about a failed devil fruit that the world government wanted. The world government, they could have any devil fruit. They could recreate any devil fruit out there. And now we are kind of being confirmed by the fact that the world government really wants Momonosuke's fruit. They didn't say that outright. They did not outright say that, but it's heavily fucking implied. When they show one character side by side with a scene that's trying to explain what that character has come from and what that character could possibly be, like, dude, like, they're very obviously talking about Momonosuke. One panel, you have Momonosuke popping out that dragon devil fruit, or dragon, and then you have CP0 saying, oh yeah, Punk Hazard, they had a pretty cool devil fruit there, but thank God it's gone. Thank God it doesn't exist anymore. It's Momonosuke. And Momonosuke's devil fruit could be a lot more dangerous than we thought. The world government wants it, so I'm assuming it's something tied to an ancient weapon. That's just me. I feel like the ancient weapons haven't been used enough in One Piece, so we need some tie-ins. We need One Piece and we need the series to start tying in the ancient weapons, or else the ancient weapons will just be something that's mentioned at the final arc and it's said and done, which that's not good world building. Good world building is when you set something up chapters before, arcs before, and then you slowly build upon it. So the fact that we haven't gotten too much about the ancient weapons until now, I feel like this is time for Oda to actually start incorporating them. And maybe Momonosuke has something to do with that. Maybe his devil fruit has something to do with that. So that's my shot in the dark for the chapter. I want to say that Momonosuke's devil fruit has something to do with the ancient weapons, or it could just be a power so great that it's on that level, on that fucking playing field. And before we move on to the Kozuki Oden part of the chapter, I gotta mention the lineage factor. The lineage factor is something that Vegapunk has discovered. And what I'm assuming the lineage factor means is the lineage of Devil Fruit. Just like how Bon Clay has the face no fruit, or whatever the fuck it's called, and someone previously in Wano also had that same fruit. I'm assuming Vegapunk found out how the Devil Fruit reforms, and he's trying to pull that out. And that's my guess on the lineage factor, but your guess is as good as mine, because we have no fucking clue. We have no clue how devil fruits quite work just yet. And if you guys want to argue that we do know how devil fruits work, then explain to me how Blackbeard has 2 devil fruits, or why Burgess was trying to take Ace's fruit by coming at him with a kitchen knife. Despite being 1,000+ chapters into One Piece, we, the audience, still don't know that much about the world itself. We don't know about devil fruits. We don't know about the ancient weapons. And here we are with Oda saying, hey, we're like 70% done, guys. Like, get ready for the end. It's like, whoa, shit, what's gonna happen? Like, I feel like it's gonna be a huge info dump coming up. And moving on from the devil fruit discussion, we have the final portion of the chapter, which... God, I don't even know how to get into this. There's so much to talk about here. There's so many theories already being spewed out the ass on the community. And that's the fact that the 10th member of the room is revealed to be Kozuki Oden. And I don't think it's him. I want to throw it out there. I really hope it is not him. Because if it is Oden, then the entire scale of the fight right now would shift towards the Straw Hats. The Straw Hats would walk away with such an easy W, it's not even funny. But before we get into that, I gotta say, I am a little bit disappointed that the 10th person isn't Enel or Toki or Hiyori, like none of these guys, which I know, Enel is a ridiculous answer. The fact that people even thought that it was Enel is pretty ludicrous. But Enel, imagine if this guy was in Wano. This guy, past 2 years, if Enel has learned hockey, this guy would be a fucking monster. Enel would be destroying people left and right. Hell, Enel is almost Admiral level, in my opinion. He just has a broken devil fruit. Being slapped with 50+ million volts? Do you know how much electricity that... This guy could single-handedly solve the world's problems just by producing electricity that he can do on a daily basis. This guy just snaps his fingers and boom, 50 million volts. GG. Like, you lost. The only reason they won is because Luffy is on their side. And if Enel had hockey, this series wouldn't even be existing right now. Okay, sorry, I just get too carried away when I talk about Enel. This guy is just super fucking broken on paper, and if he was reintroduced into the series, he would be a monster. But that aside, we're here to talk about Kozuki Oden, or who I think is Kozuki Oden. There's a couple things about him. If you look at this comparison right here, you can tell that they look slightly different, mainly in just clothing, but also the swords. The swords on Kozuki Oden this chapter are not the same as back then. He does not have Enma, and he does not have Ame no Habakiri. And that itself leads credence towards the fact that this might be the real Oden. And that's simply because we know where Enma is. We know where Ame no Habakiri is. Zoro has Enma, and Momonosuke, or it's around his presence, has Ame no Habakiri. That being said, if Oden were to come in today's era, he wouldn't have those swords, so he'd have to pick up 2 random ones, which is, you know, that's what it seems like right here. But if Oden did come from the past, wouldn't his swords time travel with him as well? Like, I'm not too sure. It depends where they pull him from, because Oden has his swords all the way up leading towards his death. I just don't know what's happening here. And people are saying it could be Kanjiro, and it could be him drawing up Oden, which makes sense. That makes sense in my mind. But why wouldn't Kanjiro put the swords there? Maybe Kanjiro is thinking ahead of us. Maybe Kanjiro's like, oh yeah, because if I give him Enma and Ame no Habakiri, they're gonna know it's a fake. But also, if he's pulled from the past, he would have those swords anyways. There's so much. There's so many ways that this could go. And people are saying, oh, it's Bon Clay. Why would Bon Clay be in Wano? And you have to remember, the person that was in this room, they were crying the last time we saw them. When they were a silhouette, they were distraught. They were saddened by seeing the scabbards defeated. That fits Oden's profile. And that's why I thought that it has to be somebody tied to the scabbards. That's why everybody was saying Hiyori. That's why people were saying Lady Toki. Enel has no ties to Wano. That's the reason his theory got kind of thrown to the side, because he has no connections whatsoever. If it was Bon Clay, why would he be crying about the scabbards that he's never met? People are also saying Katarina Devon from Blackbeard's crew, because we all know that Katarina can like change her face. She's the nine-tailed fox, but it's not her. Because first off, the last time we saw her, she was at Beehive or whatever the fuck it's called. And not to mention the fact that this doesn't explain why she would be crying about the Scabbards being defeated. So with that being said, it can only be Kanjiro or the real Odin. And either way, it just doesn't make sense because of the swords. The swords are Oda's, I'm assuming that's his hint. He's kind of throwing that out there like, oh, if you pay close attention, the swords don't match. But Odin, either way, it would make sense. If Kanjiro were to draw Odin, then he wouldn't draw the swords because he knows where the swords are. But also, he might draw the swords because if you're pulled from the past, then you technically still have your swords, right? Like they carry on with you if you time travel. They don't just disappear. They don't just look at you and say, deuces, you know, like, but we're with Zoro now. See you later, Odin. They don't, that doesn't happen. That's not how time travel works. But then again, it's One Piece, so anything can go. So to explain what I'm trying to say in layman's terms, if Odin was taken from the past and brought into the future, and his swords said, goodbye, Odin, we're with Zoro, if that's what happened, then technically Odin's clothes should not be there as well. Odin should be butt naked because his clothes are with his corpse or melted in the hot pot. Like, it doesn't just work on the swords and not work with the rest of Odin's belongings. So that's one reason as to why I think that the swords should be there regardless. If it's Kanjiro, then wouldn't Kanjiro think of that and just draw up the swords anyways? There's just so much about this appearance that just doesn't make sense. Personally, I hope it's not Odin, and if it is, I hope it's just his spirit or his ghost trying to give them a pep talk, because, like, death needs to have some sort of standard in One Piece. Not a lot of people die in One Piece. I'm not saying everybody should be butchered. I'm not saying the Straw Hats should be dropping like Game of Thrones characters. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that when a character dies and when we all have that emotional investment in them and we all felt very sad when they died, it feels unfair. It feels dirty when Oda brings them back chapters later, because we all had that tie and we all felt that sadness of them departing. And here they are, Aspel. We saw Odin get shot in the head. We saw him melt in the pot. And that was a very tragic, that was an impactful death. And bringing him back from that just makes it less impactful. Now, if a character dies in One Piece, like, should I even be sad? Because they might just come back 2 chapters later. Like, it doesn't make sense. And if this is the real Odin, and if he was brought from the past, then Lady Toki is still alive there somewhere, and she is OP as hell. I'm surprised the world government has not gone after her. But yeah, that being said, these are all theories. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you hope it's the real Odin? Do you hope it's not? Do you think it's Kanjiro? Or do you think it's Bon Clay, Katarina Devon? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Thanks for watching the video if you've watched it this far, and have a great night, guys. It is like 3 a.m. I stayed up so late just to make this damn video because I wanted to get it first, and I refreshed the page and boom, there it is. English chapter up, and I was like, fuck, it's either I sleep or I read One Piece, and you guys all know what I chose. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next week. Or not next week, see you the week after, because there's a break next week. But if you want, I shall make a One Piece video or a theory video talking about something random. So yeah, see y'all.